Hi everyone, welcome to CRJ 151, White Collar Crime. This is Professor Jennifer Noble. Today I'm going to do a quick introduction to the course and the subject of white collar crime and give you some details about what to expect this semester. There's a ton of information in Canvas, in the syllabus, the reading schedule, the assignments, particularly in the case study project module. So I'll try to keep this brief today. My goal is to wrap this up in about 10 minutes. We'll see how I do. I will put the slides online so you don't have to take notes. So the best way to contact me over the course of the semester is by email. I will get back to you generally within a day, sometimes so fast you'll think I'm stalking you. I'm also available on campus during my student hours, which are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10:30 till noon. And I'm also available by appointment for office hours. So please feel free to email me if those times do not work for your schedule. And if you don't come to campus because that's why you're taking online courses, you can always call or email me and we'll set up a time to Skype or FaceTime. So, a little bit about me. This is my fourth year teaching at Sac State. I'm a Sac State grad as well. And prior to coming here, I was in private practice, and my practice focused on criminal defense, mostly in federal court. As a result, I handled a lot of white collar criminal cases, and it's an area of law that I find really interesting, and I love teaching this class. It's my area of research. I've written a textbook on the topic, so I love to talk about financial and white collar crime. Not only is it a fascinating area of law, it's a growing crime problem, and it involves just really interesting cases. And I have to tell you, we are living in a golden age of white collar crime. So you've probably heard about some high profile cases, such as the college admissions scandal. Maybe you've heard about the FIFA scandal if you follow sports. You've probably seen the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. You probably know at least Bernie Madoff's name, if not the details of what he did, but his Ponzi scheme was pretty historic. We'll talk a lot about him. So those are some examples of high-profile white-collar crime cases. But the term also encompasses other types of criminal and civil cases, and that includes the BP oil spills and other environmental crimes. It includes political corruption. It includes all sorts of corporate crimes, including the Volkswagen diesel emissions scandal. It also includes false advertising when corporations go too far in their ads, the government can go after them and fine them and force them to take down misleading advertisements. So, white collar crime can be really small, and we're going to talk about cases where it's not a huge, relatively not a huge dollar amount. Um, it can include cases where somebody embezzles a few $1,000s from the PTA, but it can also include really huge cases like the 1MBD scandal that involved a group of individuals that stole $6 billion from a country. So, a note before we get started in the semester, um, when you're dealing with cases that talk about a lot of money, it can be really hard to conceptualize the difference between millions and billions of dollars. $1 million is a lot of money, and $1 billion is also a lot of money, just more so. Um, but this has helped me sort of conceptualize the difference between them. A million seconds is 11 days. A billion seconds is 31 years. So just keep that in mind if the amount of money that we're talking about in a case seems overwhelming. Okay, so um, white collar crime covers a lot of different criminal acts. And the definition of what is a white collar crime is not a settled matter, as you'll see when you read the textbook. Um, there's a lot of different definitions. For our course, we're relying on the broadest definition, the one that's used by federal agencies that investigate and prosecute white collar and financial crimes, like the FBI and the IRS. Um, These are crimes that generally involve money, deception, and nonviolent acts. Uh, so, as you can see from this chart, that covers a lot of different types of crimes. It can be money laundering or tax evasion, environmental crimes, computer hacking, political corruption, um, intellectual property. It just covers a very wide variety. But if you take any one of those categories and you drill down in there, there's even more going on behind that label. Um, Corporate fraud, for example, covers everything from false advertising to the FCPA, which is the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. That's the law that says it's illegal for a company to go overseas and bribe foreign officials. So that's one of the reasons why I really like talking about white collar crime, because there's a great deal of breadth in the type of white collar crime, but also a great deal of depth. But these, just because these aren't violent street crimes, don't underestimate their impacts. You're far more likely to be a victim of white collar crime than of violent crime. Let's look, for example, at property crimes. The estimated economic loss each year is about 17 billion from property crimes. Um, White collar crime is estimated to have an annual economic loss of more than 700 billion from corporate fraud, professional fraud, employee theft, and tax evasion. And it's not just money. White collar crime does also have a human toll. The death toll for homicides is about 17,000 individuals a year, but an annual toll of about 100,000 deaths are related to workplace related illness or injury, unsafe products, and preventable environmental pollution. So, this series of charts here, this sort of illustrates why I think it's important to study white collar crime. When I started practicing law, a good portion of my caseload as a defense attorney involved bank robberies. And these were takedown robberies where a small gang would storm a bank and steal money, holding people at gunpoint. These crimes typically net about $6,000 a bank, which then has to be split among 3 or 4 participants. Um, the sentence for using a gun in a bank robbery and threatening violence to employees and customers usually means the sentence is going to be about 20 years in prison. These were also crimes that are quite easily solved. Banks have really good cameras and other technologies that make this a high risk, low reward crime. Um, Within a year or so of starting to practice law, my office's caseload began to change, and we started getting appointed to defend people who were accused of mortgage fraud. Um, so banks are still the victim in a mortgage fraud case. But in a fraud case, they can lose far more than a few $1,000s. They can lose hundreds of thousands of dollars with just one fraudulent mortgage application. Um, these charts sort of illustrate that change. Bank robberies are dropping in number, but we're seeing an increase in loss related to internet fraud complaints. We're also seeing just the sheer number of the dollar loss amount here, from $80 million in 2003 to $28 million in 2015 for bank robberies. That's a huge drop in the amount of money that's being lost in takedown robberies. But if you look at the huge spike in cyber crimes, that is an incredible increase, up to about $1 billion reported in cyber crimes in 2015. So those are all the reasons why I find this very fascinating. Um, I hope you will as well. Let's talk about what you're here for now. The course details. How do I get a good grade in this class? So this is all covered in far more detail in the syllabus and in the other documents that are available on Canvas, but I'm going to go over them briefly. So the course objectives, we want to be able to look at white collar crime and distinguish it from other types of crimes. Why is this different than street crime? And what does that mean for how we treat this in the justice system? Um, what are the offender's motivations, and what happens to the victims? These are all differences that we see between street crime and white collar crime. It can make these very complex crimes, that can be um, that can make these more difficult to investigate and prosecute. Um, we're going to talk about local crimes, so we'll talk about smaller scale crimes, but we're also going to talk about large scale global crimes as well. We're going to talk a little bit about policy and legislative initiatives to prevent and combat white collar crime. So your grade in this course will be divided up from three categories. There's the assignments that you'll do every week, there are quizzes that you'll do at the end of each chapter, and then there's a case study project that spans the course over the course of the semester, and that's worth half your grade. So the assignments are assigned. They are opened on Monday. They close at Sunday at midnight. Um, you'll have a week to do them. They usually involve either watching a documentary, reading some articles, possibly listening to a podcast, and then either writing a response paper to that or participating in a discussion post. Um, After the deadline, which is Sunday at midnight, you won't get credit for the online assignments. Um, I don't reopen assignments because I don't like to be put in the position of having to judge your excuses against each other. So what I've done instead is I do a makeup assignment at the end of the semester. So if you miss an assignment, you can make it up later and it won't hurt you. The reading schedule has all of the due dates. They are also all on Canvas, so keep on that calendar. So the assignments are worth 25% of your grade. This is the textbook that we're using. It's White Collar Crime and Opportunity Perspective by Benson and Simpson. It's pretty well done. My students last semester gave it good marks, so I hope you'll enjoy reading it. It has some pretty good case studies in there. Additional reading assignments will be assigned. They'll be on Canvas as well, but the quizzes will only be on the reading in the book. So when we finish a chapter in the book, there will be a quiz. The quizzes are all on Canvas. They're 10 points, 10 questions. They're timed, but I think you'll have plenty of time to do them. I don't have makeup quizzes, and I don't reopen quizzes after the deadline has passed unless you have made arrangements beforehand due to a legitimate illness or travel issue. However, if you forget to take a quiz by the deadline or you don't like your grade, don't worry, the lowest grade will be dropped. So the reading assignment looks like this. You can see the whole semester at a glance if you download it from the module at the top of the Canvas modules. But as you can see here, there will be a reading assignment for each week. This week it's chapter 1. And then there's an online assignment. This week it's week 1, Introduction to White Collar Crime. And if you open the module, you'll see there are 3 things to do in there. One is an Intro to White Collar Crime assignment, which is a short written assignment. A survey and scavenger hunt that's designed to get you familiar with the course and the syllabus, and the quiz on Chapter 1. And those are all due Sunday at midnight, so put that in your calendar. So my favorite part of this course is the case study research project. This is also the part that most students dread at the beginning of the semester. However, they also tell me at the end of the semester it's their favorite part. So I hope you'll feel the same way. It's worth 50% of your grade, and that's split up over 3 different assignments that you'll turn in. You'll turn in a topic memo, then a research memo, and then the actual case study paper. You choose the topic of your case study project. It must be a white collar criminal case. Um, I will talk a little bit more later about how to choose a case. And you can also read the case study project overview and the assignments for a lot of detail on how to choose a case. Um, if you're not sure where to start looking, I recommend going to the resources page on Canvas and looking at all the different news sites that have articles. Look for a case that is finished so that people have been sentenced, so you can talk about the whole case from beginning to end. Um, there are some restrictions. For example, you can't choose Bernie Madoff. We're going to talk about him way too much in class, and that wouldn't be fair. And also, you can't choose Martha Stewart because the sample case study that will be posted online is of the Martha Stewart case, and that seems a little bit unfair as well. But there are a ton of cases out there, and no matter what your interest is, I can find a white collar crime case that relates to your favorite hobby. So if you can't find a topic or you can't find a case to study, please contact me. I will more than happy to help you find a topic that fits your interests. I'm less happy when you ask for help the day before the assignment is due, but start on this early. February 3rd will be here before you know it. Um, the topic memo is due February 3rd. So you've got a couple weeks to think about what you want to study over the course of the semester. Your research memo will be due on March 16th, and that's a more in-depth discussion of the sources you're going to be using in your research memo. There are certain requirements for your paper, such as you have to rely on 2 academic journal articles or law review articles that are peer-reviewed. You have to use at least one original court document. And so I want you to sort of get a jump start on that. So by March 16th, you need to have those in hand so that you can discuss them in your research memo. Don't forget we have spring break. I know everyone's already looking forward to that. And your case study paper itself is due on May 4th. So, quick note on writing. Prior to being a lawyer, which is a career that involves a lot of writing, I was a journalist. And so I really value good writing. I am always available to help you improve your writing because it is really important to your success in college, but also in your career, no matter what career that is. Please reach out if you need some help with your paper. If you want to come by my office and bring a draft, I'm happy to go over it with you. I can also point you to other resources that this university offers to help you improve your writing. Just reach out. Okay, just 2 really quick notes and we'll wrap this up. The short-term book loan is available if you are waiting on financial aid that has not yet come through and you want to buy your books. Just go to Lassen Hall in the bursar's office. They will take care of you. It takes minutes, no fees, as long as it's paid back in 60 days. So, the other thing, my pet project is getting people to register to vote. So, if you care about criminal justice, education, student loan debt, healthcare, jobs, the environment, anything that you care about, you need to vote. When you vote, the people who make the laws and the policies that affect you, they see that, and then they will pay attention to the issues you care about. I don't care what side of any of these issues you are on, I just want you to vote. So, the first chance for extra credit points is to do the Register to Vote module. It's on Canvas, and you can get some extra points towards your assignment grade. Okay, so that's all I have today. I went way over my goal of 10 minutes by apparently 10 minutes, so I'm sorry about that. Reach out and keep in touch with me during the semester, and definitely come by and meet me in person. I would love to meet you, and have a great day. Thanks, guys.